Presentation of selected issues. For morphology, the two issues that we select were content words and function words, derivational and inflectional morphemes. On syntax, we chose structural ambiguity and deep and surface structure. And finally, on semantics, we select conceptual meaning and associative meaning and semantic features.
We think that the first issue is important because it makes us notice that there are two categories of words that work differently in our linguistic process, which are unconscious but end up being the basis of our communication. Furthermore, this shows us the difference between content words which, being concepts, actions, attributes, and ideas in which we think, we can add new words to this open class words category. On the contrary, function words, being grammatical specifications such as connector and being closed class of words, is difficult to add or think of new conjunctions, prepositions, or pronouns. I believe that if we teach this difference to our EFL students, they will be able to add, for example, in content words open class, new words that have been appearing along with the different interpretations that are being given to English words depending on the culture and the advance of the technology that gives us new terms to use. As a result, this will help students to feel more motivated to learn new expressions or add more words to their normal use of English. In fact, by teaching them the information of words and their correct use, students will feel more confident in using this second language and will expand their vocabulary. The activity, we, the teachers, will write some examples of content and function in a correct classification. Then, students will be asked to come to the board and write the right classification. This way, students will recognize the principles of each type of word, content, or function, and they will activate pre-knowledge.
The syntax rules, according to Fromking, 2011, permit speakers to produce and understand a limitless number of sentences never produced or heard before. The creativity aspect of linguistic knowledge, page 122. Also, they show us the basic components of the words. That's because I chose structural ambiguity and deep and surface structure, because it is important that as learners of this second language to be able to achieve a syntactic analysis that unconsciously help us with our coherence and cohesion in order to be able to express ourselves clearly and thus achieve a successful social interaction. Also, I believe that it is important for EFL students to understand these structures in order to distinguish the ambiguity that may sometimes present the expressions used in English and thus achieve the management of coherence necessary to express them and understand what other speakers of the language say. In addition, students can learn which phrases, words, or expressions can occupy according to the context in which they are. While activity. We, the teachers, will write on the board 3 different sentences, of which 2 will be structurally ambiguous and the other sentence is going to be normal. Students should identify the sentences which are structurally ambiguous and explain why they are ambiguous. That is to say, writing their 2 interpretations. Then, students will be asked to create one sentence based on structural ambiguity. The objective of this activity is that students can identify sentences that have clear and objective meaning, so they will learn to be coherent and direct in what they want to say or express. The explanation of the first ambiguous sentence can show two ideas. One, that Annie had an umbrella and she bumped into a man. Or the second, that Annie bumped into a man when he happened to be carrying an umbrella. And for the second, the first interpretation can be understood as that the chicken is cooked, so people can eat it at the dinner. And the second is that the chicken is ready to eat his food.
Finally, on semantics, we select the issues conceptual meaning and associative meaning and semantic features, because this helps us to improve our ability to communicate and understand by being able to recognize when a sentence can present a correct structure despite not having a correct meaning. In this way, we can use our ability to recognize the different elements that form phrases that we use to communicate by analyzing. For example, if what we describe is animated, human, and so on. As a result, EFL students will be able to know better the language, and they will know how to produce and understand sentences with particular meanings. Also, when discovering this sense of oddness in sentences, students can learn to identify the problem and the components and crucial elements or features of meaning that any noun or verb must have in order to be used in concordance with the next part of a sentence.
Third activity. On the board, there will be two words that have been created on the internet. First, students have to create two sentences with them. Then, students have to use the syntax tree to discover their elements. After this, students should look for a synonym of these new words and define this synonym that they're going to find with their own words. Subsequently, they will look for its literary meaning in the dictionary and they will write it down. This activity represents the use of the associative meaning and the conceptual meaning.